we've been hanging out. She's teaching me a lot about staring into lights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it, she is not a
That's sort of what we're
fan
doing.
favorite actor?
Exactly. So, all right. I'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Transportation and Mobility Committee to order. Could the clerk please call the roll?
Slight,
Present.
Bishop, Gray, here, Casey,
Present.
Moore,
Here.
Santana, Wells.
Present.
Thank you. Director, if you want to come up, we have 7 pieces of legislation to cycle through today. As I mentioned to all of you, because our next regularly scheduled meeting would be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and because I fear all of you, we are not going to meet that day. So this will be our final meeting before Committee of the Whole. So whatever legislation needs to come through for Committee of the Whole, if you and Aaron and I could just communicate so we make sure that that's all set for December 1st.
Certainly.
So we are going to start with Ordinance 1086, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of industrial and building-related supplies, materials, equipment, and services needed for maintenance, repair, and operations of facilities, including installation, if necessary, for Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Port Control is requesting authority to enter into one or more requirements contracts for industrial and building-related supplies, materials, and equipment for facility maintenance, repair, and overhaul. This contract is essential as it will allow the department to procure the consumables, equipment, and supplies needed to maintain and improve the buildings and their related systems, which aids in extending the value and useful life of the department's facilities and property. And we ask for your support today. Thank you.
Okay, and Director, this is an estimated annual cost of $300,000. Am I
Yes.
reading that right?
That is correct,
For the
yes.
duration of the year with the 3 options, it would be a total of $1.2 million if I can do math.
That is correct,
That
sir.
is correct.
Yes.
All right. Are there any questions on Ordinance 1086? Okay. Hearing none, Ordinance 1086 is approved. I'll pass around for signature. Move to Ordinance 1251, authorizing the Director of Port Control to employ by contract or contracts one or more qualified insurance brokerage firm or firms to provide brokerage and administrative services for a planned owner-controlled insurance program needed for terminal modernization development program at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport for a period of 7 years. I'm getting ahead of myself. Thank you for making time, Mr. Kramer, to speak about this one with me next week. To my colleagues, this is an estimated cost of $45 million, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to explain it all, if there were any questions that you had for me. But Director, I'll turn it over for you and we can discuss.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Today, this item will be presented by Dennis Kramer, my Assistant Director of Airport Development. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the committee. So this particular piece is for what's called an owner-controlled insurance program for our upcoming terminal modernization development program. Kind of at a high level, what we are looking to do is bring on an insurance program that will be an umbrella for the entire program. It will give us the ability to kind of realize some economies of scale in purchase of the insurance for the program. Typically, how city contracts work is all of the individual designers or contractors will provide an insurance policy for their particular contract. By doing this and kind of grouping it all together and providing the insurance for the entire program, we will realize a savings in the economies of scale there. We're essentially buying insurance in bulk, and there won't be all of the individual insurance policies for all of the individual contracts. This particular service will include insurance program design and marketing, risk control services, contractor bidding services, claims management, OSIP administration, loss control and safety services, risk management information systems, and then closeout services as well. This is a very common practice at large terminal airport programs and other large, programs in general to kind of group together the insurance services for a specific program. I do have with me here today some members of our executive program management team, our consultant from the Pasley Group, and we are here to answer any questions you have on this piece, and they're here to answer any other questions you might have as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And from our conversation last week, just to not to entirely repeat your words, but essentially, typically when we seek out services like these, the contractors are bringing with them their own insurance and essentially pass that cost on to us. So we are paying for it indirectly. The theory here is that by being able to purchase in bulk, we're able to get a lower rate. Additionally, sorry, there's a long pause there. Additionally, and if you could explain this a little bit more, there's been a goal from this body of making sure that especially smaller contractors, maybe those that have issues even getting bonded, are able to participate in this project moving forward. I know even back to my days in economic development, 10, 15 years ago almost, we were trying to find ways to provide financial services to smaller contractors so that they could become able to bid and not always just be subs. Could you speak more to how this legislation will sort of level the playing field for a lot of those smaller operations that were seeking to get involved? And I'm really interested if this is a model that could be expanded across other aspects of the city to help support smaller contractors who are unable to bid on city projects.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm glad you asked that question. So the other benefit of utilizing these services like that is exactly as you mentioned. It should open up opportunity for smaller contractors who may not be able to get such a large policy that would be needed. So some of the work at the airport, specifically on the airfield, we do require some very high insurance requirements to work out on the airfield because the work's taking place, alongside some very, very expensive assets in terms of airplanes and things of that. And so we do, when contractors are working out on the airfield, we require usually at least $10 million of coverage to work. And there are a lot of small companies who can't, that's outside their range of being able to provide a policy, and they can't get those type of policies. So sometimes it limits those smaller companies to participate in some of the work. And so this in theory, eliminates that barrier. We can enroll them into our larger program for the entire program, and they can then work and be a part of it and not have to worry about going out and getting a very high level of insurance to do their portion of the work.
Are there any questions from my colleagues on 1251-25? Councilman Bishop.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So through the chairman to the assistant director, is that correct? So this is a practice that you say this that airports take across the country when they're doing modernization programs. Is that correct?
Through the chair to the councilperson, that's correct, yes.
And typically, how much are these contracts over a 7-year period? Can we get any kind of comparison to this contract? Do you have any kind of comparisons available, Assistant Director?
I can speak to that, but I'm also going to invite up, one of our members of the team from the Pasley Group who can speak to their experiences at other programs. Just from my knowledge of it, typically these large terminal airport programs do run 5, 7, 8, 10 years even. There are longer term programs, and so that term is fairly typical. But I will turn it over to Mr. David Arredondo. He's the representative of the Pasley Group who has experience working at other airport programs, and I'd ask him to speak to that. Thank you.
Sure. I guess in response to Councilmember Bishop through the chair is largely the term of this is really more to capture the scope of the program that's envisioned for Cleveland. So the duration of the 7 years is from the onset was set to establish the program goal to cover everybody from the beginning of the program through the end, as well as closeout of the actual capital program. The other benefit with this is that through the duration of that, there is this umbrella sort of, we'll say, safety oversight as an administrative component to ensure that everyone who is enrolled in the program is actually benefiting from an umbrella that, you know, all these brokers, from an insurance risk perspective, it's to their benefit to reduce the number of claims, thereby being that the safety umbrella is the other piece that we want to make sure exists through that duration of 7 years.
Okay, so through the chair, the owner control insurance program. So the owner control is Cleveland Hopkins, correct? When we say owner control, we're referring to Cleveland Hopkins.
Through the chair to the councilperson, yeah, we would enter, the city, you know, our department would enter into a contract with a broker who would then administer this program. We are controlling it by entering into a contract with a broker of these types of services.
Okay, explain, what is closeout services, through the chair to the director? What is closeout services?
Through the chair to the council member, closeout services include, you know, the final retention and release. It's also, as you can imagine, when you get to the end of a large capital program, there could be claims that have been outstanding for some time. So closeout and the administration of that is to make sure that not only is the work complete, but any claims associated for whatever various reasons, typically workers' compensation, have been closed out as well as part of wrapping up and closing out the insurance administration component of a project.
Okay, and can you touch on, through the chair, can you touch on risk management information system services? And why do we need, as the owner, need to ensure those type of services?
Start and then turn it over. Yeah. Through the chair to the councilperson, yes. So this is, I mean, there is a lot of administrative work associated with a program like this, a lot of paperwork, a lot of things going on. And so having a information system that kind of manages all of that paperwork and documents is the idea there. And then I'll let David speak to add to that if there's anything more.
I think just maybe to tag on to the end of that is the other benefit of this being rolled up under a wrap-up program, which an OSIP is it allows this dashboard, really, the risk management component. The administration it's really just about being transparent about what is happening in real time, so that the people who are administering it understand where all the various components. If you can imagine, you may have several thousand individuals, entities that could be enrolled in this program. So obviously you have prime contractors, you have subcontractors, you have all the subs as the subs. If you start to roll this up, it'd be several hundred people who are enrolled in this. So just keeping track of it is really that risk management piece. It's really nothing, it's not a fancy software system that anyone's purchasing. It's really to the benefit to administer the program.
Okay, through the chair to the assistant director. Now, to the gentleman, your company, what role does your company play in this?
Through the chair to the councilperson, so Pasley Group is our executive program management team. And again, that's another, we brought Pasley on in late 2023. And essentially their services are to help guide the city and the department in delivering a large terminal modernization development program. Their company has very specific expertise in consulting with airports across the country in administration and delivery of these large terminal programs. And so I can let David again expand on those types of services that they provide.
You did a very, very well job. The only thing I would maybe add is much like this specific procurement, this is one of those things where we've identified a benefit to both the port as well as to the city to manage risk, to ensure safety, and ultimately, the goal is also to recognize some cost savings. I'd say that in that order because I think the fundamental component of this, as the Assistant Director had mentioned, is really giving an opportunity to small and medium-sized firms who may not otherwise have access to this level of bonding or insurance capacity to do work at the airport.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are there additional questions on 1251? Yes. Councilman Gray.
Yes, just echoing Councilman Bishop questions. Chair to Assistant Director, I just want to just clarify Council Bishop last question. So by you bringing in this broker firm, the airport didn't have their own broker firm per se, or the one you just spoke on passive? They don't do what this broker firm is going to do? Chair to the Assistant Director.
Through the chair to the councilperson, these are two different services that Pasley provides and that the services that we're seeking through this legislation. Again, Pasley is that executive program management consulting services, and then this new legislation is specific to the insurance portion of the program. So kind of two separate buckets here.
So saying that, thank you for that answer, but so just reiterating my question. So the airport never had a insurance brokerage firm prior to bringing this broker firm in?
Through the chair to the councilperson,
Chair.
we do have insurance services that are just in general for the airport. We've had those services for forever. I don't know when those started. But this particular piece is to bring on specifically for the Terminal Modernization Development Program. We've never undertaken such a large capital program of this nature, and that's why the idea of bringing on this specific product as a part of that terminal modernization program
Okay.
is what we're seeking to achieve.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
And Councilwoman Welch.
Through the chair, thank you so much for this work. As somebody who works with a ton of small businesses in our community, when there are new projects that are happening, and it's often very, very hard to tap into a lot of the capital projects, modernization projects, because they just cannot get the insurance they need to step up to the plate like other large businesses, right? So I appreciate the work in bringing this to fruition. My question is, I'll just say this. When they end up having maybe a workers' comp situation or they're liable for something, who does cover that cost if you all are doing the overhead for the insurance? Are they still required to have some form of insurance? And then they're going to actually have both? Or if they end up in an incident, do we cover that? Or will they still have to be liable for any coverage of expenses that...
Through the chair to the councilperson, I'll answer part of that, and then I'll turn it over to David. So just to the part about them having their own coverage, they will not have their own coverage unless they choose to do that on their own. The idea here is that we are not requiring them to bring any insurance to the table, if you will, and then the expectation is that they're not passing along any insurance costs to us, to the program, because we're providing them as part of the program. In terms of paying of the premiums and stuff like that, I'm not sure I quite understand your question, but maybe David does.
Yeah.
I guess what I want to say is if they end up in a workers' comp situation, if they end up being liable for something, who covers that cost? Do you all cover that, or do they still have to pay you all to cover that?
So in response to that specific question, the reality of it is obviously the program is intended to ensure those who are working on the job site. So it is only an insurance program to cover the program itself. The transportation to and from, or what happens when, a vehicle leaves the job site and is traveling to the other side of town, they would typically have to maintain their own coverage associated with any work that took place outside of the project site itself. So the payment of it, obviously, the cost is being borne, as I think is in one of the opening intros. Typically, it's a pass-through cost that shows up as part of the stated cost of work. So in lieu of that, if the owner is supplying the insurance, that stated cost of work is being built up as an umbrella program to cover everybody who's working on the site. So in essence, the program is, the insurance wrap is paying for it, the claim, but the savings, if you will, that come from this is having also part of the administration safety oversight with not only with the prime contractors, but also each of the subcontractors to ensure that the number of claims, that's the target, right? The number of claims are reduced, not only for safety, but also the net benefit being cost savings.
And thank you, Councilwoman. I think that my variation on that question last week was, I think, essentially in some theoretical, maybe anxiety-induced scenario, does the city's ability to obtain insurance become adversely impacted by the actions of a prime or a sub or something like that? And it seems that the answer essentially was that the value of the policy builds in sort of what we can anticipate just based on statistics as well as the monitoring of the program to ensure that that's not happening, because I certainly don't want to end up in a situation where we're not getting our security deposit back, right? Yeah, exactly. So, but it's a very valid question, and I think to anyone from the administration listening, speaking personally, I'm curious if this is a model that could be replicated again across city government, and if this is really an undertaking that something like the Office of Equal Opportunity could use to start to create those opportunities for those small businesses, those minority and female-owned businesses that have just had a tough time historically being able to compete for public contracts because of the requirements we have around being licensed and bonded. Are there additional questions on 1251? Okay, seeing no questions, we will move it towards finance. Thank you. And thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Moving on to ordinance 1252, 2025, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to employ one or more professional consultants for wayfinding services to assess, audit, and make recommendations to improve the ticketing lobby operations at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport for a period of 1 year with a 1-year option to renew exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, so CLE needs to serve passengers efficiently for the remaining years that we will occupy the existing facility. So this project focuses on practical fixes to improve customer flow within the existing terminal. The effort will begin with an audit of both landside and airside wayfinding, but the primary focus will be on the ticket lobby. As many of you know, if you're in the terminal, especially in the early morning hours, that's one of our most congested areas. So establishing clearer, more visible signage, both static and electronic or digital, will help passengers move more smoothly from the front doors to check-in and security screening. It'll have the ability to deliver visible progress relatively quickly upon completion of the audit, easing congestion and improving the traveler experience while showing CLE's commitment to a modern, welcoming airport experience as we plan for new facilities. We expect to begin implementation of signage wayfinding improvements soon after the facility audit is complete. And we ask for your support today.
Okay.
Thank you.
2 questions
Yes.
from my end, Director. One, does that audit include the need or lack of potentially bilingual signage? I feel when I go to other airports, there seems to be a lot more, and I'm not sure what the demand specifically would be here versus another airport, but I think it's there. I do see the restrooms say, I think it's English, Spanish, maybe Chinese, Arabic, but I'm curious, the need for bilingual signage at Hopkins.
Yeah, so we certainly will have that
Multilingual, yeah.
looked into as part of the overall audit of the signage program throughout the terminal facilities.
Okay, thank you. The estimated cost as stated in the summary is $250,000. Is
Yes.
that annual, or is that for the 2 years?
This would be for the overall period of those services, and then depending upon what improvements we choose to make, then that would be an additional cost that we would be prepared to invest.
Okay. Can you speak to how that estimated cost was determined? The word on the street is that the new city hall signage cost about $500,000. It's nice, it's helpful. We rebranded the basement to the garden level. Things are happening. But that is $250,000 adequate given the volume of people going through the airport?
So this is primarily for all of the audit work and giving us options on the types of improvements that we could make within the facility, and then anything that we choose to implement would be beyond that.
Okay, understood.
Yes.
Are there questions on 1252-2025 from my colleagues? Seeing no questions, we will sign it up.
Thank you.
All right. Ordinance 1253-2025, authorizing the purchase by, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of labor and materials necessary for constructing, repairing, maintaining, removing, replacing, disposing, and installing concrete surfaces and structures on roadways, taxiways, runways, ramps, and other paved surfaces for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director, concrete.
Yes, concrete. So we're required to maintain all airport pavement, including runways, taxiways, ramps, sidewalks, and roadways, in good operating condition to ensure the safety of aircraft and motor vehicles and for the safety of the traveling public. It's essential that the department maintain, repair, and/or replace any deteriorating surfaces and foundations that are essential in the day-to-day operations at the airports. This request is to provide materials and labor to install, excavate, maintain, seal, repair, and replace concrete surfaces and structures at both airports on an as-needed basis or as required by the department. The surfaces and structures will include, but not be limited to, taxis, again, runways, roadways, driveways, parking areas, aprons, sidewalks, ramps, curbs, passenger boarding bridge foundations, etc. These services are required to perform work which falls outside the scope of the department's capability to perform, and we ask for your support today.
Okay, thank you. I believe if I'm doing my due diligence well, so the estimated annual cost provided in the executive summary is $1 million
Yes.
annually. I believe in the current contract, we've spent about $2.5 million, give or take, 2.2 to 2.3. But previously, the anticipated cost was as high as $2 million annually. So I just want to make sure I understand that I appreciate that there's flexibility within the contract, but I want to make sure that we are being open and transparent about what our anticipated costs are on the front end.
Yes, I mean, we did think through this and make determinations on what we believe our needs will be in this particular area of the operation, and we believe that $1 million annually will be sufficient to cover those services.
Okay. Does anybody have questions about concrete? Councilman Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The current contract when does the current contract end, and when did it begin?
Okay, let's see, 1 second. See if that's in here. So the current contract is with Cook Paving and Construction, and it looks like it was 2022 that it began.
So through the chair, it was a 2-year contract? Is that correct?
Through the chair, so it was a 2-year with 2 one-year options, perhaps?
So this is a new contract, or are we renewing the option?
This would be a new contract.
Okay.
2-year term with 2 one-year options to renew.
And we spent $2.2 million per year, or for the whole entire contract for the last contract?
Through the chair, cumulatively.
Okay.
Yes.
And that was for 2 years?
For the entire period of over the nearly 3 years now.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. And Cook was the last contract?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you, Mr.
yes,
Chair.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional questions? Seeing none, we will sign it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance 1304, 2025, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more contracts with West Creek Conservancy for the design and implementation of wetland mitigation projects for the Department of Port Control. Director.
Yes, good morning. And today, this item will be presented by Dennis Kramer, Assistant Director, Airport Development. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the committee. So a lot of history with this piece. I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but I'll try to give you a quick synopsis. So back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the airport built a new runway. We built our outboard runway, 6 left, 24 right. And as part of that project, there was a lot of different components of it. One of those, when we built that runway, we were taking out some wetland areas that existed over on kind of that far side of the airport. And so we needed to create additional wetlands somewhere on our campus, and so we did that. We currently have some wetland areas that are in the southwest corner of the airfield. So since that time those were created, we have been pursuing some way to relocate those wetlands off of our property because it is not necessarily good practice to have a wetland on an airfield. It is a wildlife attractant that could potentially be hazardous to aircraft and air operations, and so we have been working towards removal of the wetlands. We've done, don't get me wrong, we've kept things safe all along these many years by mitigating the wildlife and taking necessary steps to protect the airfield. But it is good practice to eventually remove those wetlands and relocate them to a different location. So that's what this particular piece is. We've identified an opportunity now to purchase land elsewhere and then create additional wetlands that would again give us the ability to remove the wetlands that are on our property. So we are seeking to enter into an agreement with West Creek Conservancy, who has recently purchased this land. And then if we can enter into this agreement with them, we can then move forward with this project to then create these wetlands on that property and then be able to remove the wetlands from our property.
Just some nuts and bolts. I understand the need and why we don't want to be attracting wildlife, especially those that fly onto the airfield. The section 1 of the ordinance is pretty clear that the ordinance is authorizing us to enter into one or more contracts with West Creek. I'm trying to understand section 2 under section 108B of the charter. Services authorized by this ordinance may be made through cooperative agreements with other governmental agencies. So the way that I understand that is essentially that this is potentially a multi-party effort with West Creek and some, whether it's state EPA or something like that, that this is authorizing multiple contracts, not just one with West Creek. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chair, that's correct, yes.
Okay, and then that section 3, that the ordinance is authorizing from 2 listed subfunds as well as other funds approved by the Director of Finance. Could you speak to what those other funds potentially could be?
To the chairman. Those are all not general fund. They're all airport funds. We have different funding sources, our airport enterprise fund, our airport discretionary fund, different funds. So I am not the finance person, so I can't speak specifically to what those listed are, but they are not, I can confirm that they are not general fund and that they are airport funds.
Okay. I would like to propose to my colleagues a minor amendment to section 2, and this is a dumb question, but clerk, I'm unable to make motions, right? Correct. So my understanding from staff is merely that when we partner with other governmental agencies, it's not necessarily notified automatically within the city record that that's occurring. So I think in instances like that, we are seeking just a notification through the clerk about about that process, so that there's just an ability for us to monitor and track it. So in working with staff, the idea would be to amend Section 2 to include that the Director of Port Control shall provide written notice whenever a purchase is made through the cooperative process. Let me make sure I read this right. Services authorized by the cooperative. What I'm seeking is that the Director of Port Control, when entering into cooperative agreements under Section 108B, will notify the clerk that they are entering into those agreements. I think I have some language from other stock legislation, but I guess I'm seeking a colleague to
Mr. Chair.
potentially make the amendment.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make an amendment.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, can you, I'd like to make an amendment to Section 2 that states that the Director of Port Control, when any documents are signed with any organization for cooperative agreements, that Director of Port Control notify the Clerk of City Council of such agreements.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Clerk, could you please call the roll on the amendment? Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions on ordinance 130425? Councilman Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, less than a mile away from the airport is the city's largest wetlands. Did you guys ever, it's maintained by the NEORSD and the Water Pollution Control. Did you guys ever decide to collaborate with them, and are you creating a new wetland?
Through the chair to the councilperson. So the availability of wetlands is very limited, and so I can't speak specifically to the property that you're speaking to, but my assumption would be that there's no additional capacity within that wetland, because we have been seeking an opportunity like this for a number of years to have a piece of property that met all of the requirements of the EPA and all of the different regulations that we need to meet. And so this is a unique opportunity that has arisen for us, and there hasn't been this type of opportunity. This good of an opportunity to purchase this land and enter into it. And yes, we are creating to your second part of your question, yes, we are creating a new wetland on this piece of property.
And Mr. Chairman, to the Assistant Director, can you remind us again where the new wetland is going to be?
Through the chair to the councilperson, it is in the township of Grafton.
So City of Cleveland's airport is creating a wetland in the city of Grafton, Ohio. Mr. Chairman, to the Assistant Director, can you tell us why would we support?
Through the chair to the councilperson, the EPA views these types of initiatives more in terms of watersheds and less in terms of municipal boundaries. And so this piece of property that we are purchasing does fall within the necessary watershed of the regulations that we need to meet to be able to create this wetland. And so it's not necessarily about Grafton and Cleveland and any other municipalities other than the watersheds. That's what the EPA is most concerned about.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the Assistant Director, you want us to spend $2.7 million to create a wetland in Grafton, Ohio?
Through the chair to the councilperson, that's correct.
All right. This is not without opposition. Thank you.
Are there other members with questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chairman, to the Assistant Director, to Councilman Casey's point, why do we need to create a wetlands in Grafton?
Through the chair to the councilperson, it is to be able to remove the wetlands that are on our property. We need to meet the requirements of the EPA to create wetlands somewhere else within the same watershed.
Okay.
And that is how the regulations are written to be able to remove our wetlands, which
Okay.
we are seeking to do.
Okay, so it's an EPA rule. All
That's
right,
correct.
Thank you.
Councilman Casey.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, how big is the wetland going to be?
Through the chair to the councilperson, approximately 24 acres.
And how big is the wetlands now at the airport?
Through the chair to the councilperson, approximately 8 acres.
So you're taking it threefold, moving it out of the city of Cleveland into the city of Grafton, spending $2.7 million on doing so. And this is because we built a runway, correct?
Through the chair to the councilperson, yeah, the wetlands that are on the airfield were created when the outboard runway was constructed, yes.
And is this runway used?
Through the chair to the councilperson, yes, it is one of our primary runways.
All right, Mr. Chairman, to the director, how much effort did did you guys put into at least trying to find space in the city of Cleveland?
Through the chair to the councilperson, we've been monitoring the land bank for wetlands for many years, and there is no current availability of wetlands. This, again, is a unique opportunity that has arisen for us to move forward with this.
And Mr. Chairman, to the assistant director, is this the county land bank or the city land bank you're working with?
It's, I believe, through the chair to the councilperson, it's more of an EPA wetland land bank, something with the
So it's not
EPA.
the city land bank that you worked
Correct.
with or the county land bank that you worked with?
Through the chair to the councilperson, no.
Did you ever reach out to them to see if there was anything available through the city or the county land bank?
Through the chair to the councilperson, I don't want to confuse the term land bank, right? There's,
Well, when you say land bank, we're thinking, I think everybody on this side of the table is thinking either the city land bank or the county land
yeah,
bank.
through the chair, this is an environmental wetland land bank, if you will, not what you would typically discuss in terms of like commercial land bank or residential land bank that is typically discussed.
All right, Mr. Chairman, to the director, why so big? If we only have 8, why aren't we just replacing 8?
Through the chair to the councilperson, that's what the regulations dictate. Through the EPA regulations dictate a 3-to-1 ratio of if you're displacing existing wetlands, you need to then create a 3-to-1 ratio on the wetlands that you're creating.
And then, Mr. Chairman, the assistant director, do we have to do this?
Through the chair to the councilperson, it is in our best interest to do this for the continued safety of the airfield. The FAA, for the last few years, has recommended through their annual inspections that we remove these wetlands from our airfield. It has not been any kind of mandate that they've provided, but they have strongly recommended that the FAA has strongly recommended that we remove these wetlands from our airfield.
And then, Mr. Chairman, the assistant director, the FAA doesn't mandate, though, that you replace the wetlands.
Through the chair to the councilperson, no, that wouldn't be their jurisdiction to do so.
Okay.
We have to deal with the EPA to go through the process of being able to relocate the wetlands off of our.
All right, my last question, Mr. Chairman, to the assistant director is, obviously, the airport's an enterprise fund, correct? So who's paying for this? where's the 2.7 coming from?
Through the chair to the councilperson, it is enterprise funds. It is, all of our finances are supported by the airlines through enterprise funds.
So it's ultimately, Mr. Chairman, to the assistant director, the airlines that are paying for the relocation of the wetland and paying the 2.7 million.
Through the chair to the councilperson, yes.
Thank you.
And thank you, Councilman Casey. 80 Kramer, I'm going to explain my understanding of these EPA regulations, and then you can confirm whether or not I'm on point. The airport is within the Rocky River watershed, and therefore the relocation of any wetlands within the Rocky River watershed would have to remain within the Rocky River watershed. And my understanding of this coming in is that there are very limited opportunities for us to relocate a wetland within the city of Cleveland that is also within the Rocky River watershed, because I know in my neighborhood, the watershed line is at basically the corner of Lorraine and Trisket. It's really only not even 1 mile of the western edge of the city falls within the watershed. If there were a site available, say in Councilman Bishop's ward, it could be a great site, but it's merely not eligible because it's not within the right watershed. However, the watershed of the Rocky River expands as it goes south into Medina and Lorain counties, which is, I presume, where this location in Grafton would fall within the Rocky River watershed. Is that a accurate understanding of the regulations?
Through the chair to the councilperson, yes, that's correct. I just wanted the watershed specific name, just to make sure we're clarifying that. Black Rocky River Hydraulic Unit Code 04110001.
It's very catchy. So, okay, are there additional questions on 1304? Okay, then I will move 1304 as amended. Thank you. Moving to ordinance 1317, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to employ one or more professional consultants to provide financial and accounting consulting services for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Our current financial consultant contract will expire in February 2026. We've advertised an RFQ for financial consulting services with the 4-year term and expect to complete that process by year end. This is a common contractual service at airports and at CLE. It has been used for preparation of financial analysis for the benefit of the Terminal Modernization Development Program, as well as the negotiations surrounding the new airline use and lease agreement with our signatory airlines. Among other tasks, this service has assisted in presentation of analysis related to the collection and use of PFCs, or passenger facility charges, as well as assisted in the analysis surrounding annual airline rates and charges and the corresponding documents which are provided to our airline partners annually. This service assisted with the issuance of short-term debt in 2024 and will be involved with the issuance of long-term debt in coming years as the Terminal Modernization Development Program advances. Other areas include responding to rating agency financial data requests, assisting in analysis showing costs to airlines for new air service or expanding air service, and financial analysis is requested for our services and needs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The estimated cost for this is $400,000 annually. That seems to align well with the existing contract with Peregrine Advisors, which has been about 1.5, so it's a little bit of an overestimation, give some wiggle room. Director, could you just, and really humoring me, walk me through, we have a lot of 4-year contracts, and some are 1 year with 3 one-year options, some are 2 years with 2 one-year options, some are 2 with maybe 1 2-year. How does that determination made of the length and number of option periods?
Thank you for the question to the chair and to the committee. Essentially, it comes down to the services that are needed and who that area or service will fall under and what they believe is most appropriate for the services in terms of contract length.
Okay. Are there questions on 13, 17, 25? Seeing none. 13, 17, 20, 25 is approved. Our final piece of legislation, Ordinance 1318, 2025, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to employ one or more professional consultants to provide on-call asset management services for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this item will be presented by Dennis Kramer, Assistant Director of Port Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is, again, to provide on-call asset management services for the department, inclusive of training, design, maintenance, document and asset management support services for building information modeling, BIM, LiDAR data collection, digitalized and computerized maintenance management system, also known as CityWorks, and geographic information systems, along with other, asset management best practices. Asset management is a system used at airports, along with many other types of operations, to make sure we are properly tracking and managing all the assets that are part of our operation. We track them as they're purchased, their initial purchase cost, their life cycle, the cost of all the maintenance associated with them, so that we can use that data and information for planning purposes and for budgeting purposes in the future. Airport established our asset management program back starting in around 2020, 2021. The last several years we've been building out our asset management program, and we've had a consultant that's been a part of that previously. Since we kind of kicked that off, AECOM Technical Services, their contract is coming to an end, and so we want to continue to have this support and these services to continue to build our asset management program and manage it and maintain it, and so we are seeking to go out for procurement to bring on that next vendor that can provide those services to us.
Thank you. Director, the scope of work includes a number of acronyms and industry terms. I definitely know what building information modeling is, but I'd love for you to tell me what building information modeling, to make sure you know.
Sure,
Right,
sure.
yeah.
Through the chair to the council person, we have a model of all of our facilities, a digital model of all of our facilities, the terminal, all of our outbuildings, everything. And then for any specific purpose we need when we get into a new project, to design a new project or relocate a wall or relocate a pipe, we can then go into our model and make sure we're not doing something that is going to interfere the operation, right? We can see in the walls, hey, where all the pipes are and where all the electrical lines are. And that's what the model itself is just a virtual model of our facilities. And so we can use that information in whatever way we need to.
Sure. Thank you. It'd be cool if it was made out of Lego, but whatever you guys got to do. Director, the existing contract with AECom for this work has paid out $4 million, but looking back at the previous pieces of legislation that authorized it, we had estimated that over that 4-year period it'd be closer to like 2.4, 2.5. So obviously that we lowballed the estimate in the legislation in 19 and 21. The current estimate seems to align more with this $4 million. Are we confident that that's going to hold and that we're looking at $950,000 estimated cost annually?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, we are comfortable with the proposed number. We think it does further align with all the things that we need to do to continue to build out this program and create a very robust, proactive asset management program that'll allow us to, better manage our assets, better forecast, costs and planning for budgets and things of that nature.
Thank you. Are you able to speak, even anecdotally, to the needs that caused the contract to exceed the original estimates?
Mr. Chairman, there was just some additional support needed, I'll say personnel-wise, to bring on some team members to help build out. And really, to be honest, that those initial numbers were kind of guesses because we had never done an asset management program before. And so, as we got into the procurement and actually delivering the services, it became evident that we needed additional support to create the program that we wanted to create.
Okay, thank you. Larger topic, but something I mentioned to policy staff earlier. I would like to have a deeper sense moving forward of kind of all of our existing contracts, where we are in renewal periods, what the spending has been, so that we can sort of track, so I'll be able to anticipate, myself be able to anticipate more proactively that, okay, the AECom services, that sunsetting, is that new legislation coming, how is the spending? I just want to be able to make sure that we're staying abreast of all of that. Are there questions on 1318-2025? Hearing none, please sign it up. That concludes the legislative portion of this meeting. I do have 2 items for miscellaneous for you, Director. One, I think we're anticipating that the federal government shutdown is coming to an end, and hopefully that will, I know that Hopkins was not one of the 40 airports or airspaces nationwide affected by flight reductions, but obviously there were spillover impacts as flights to and from places like Dallas, Atlanta may have been canceled. So can you speak to what we can expect vis-a-vis the resumption of regular air service? And then also there's been some articles about a Southwest flight that had to divert on landing due to concerns of a conflict with a helicopter. I understand that Hopkins does not manage air traffic control. That is done by the federal government, but it's obviously a point of concern. So I'm wondering if there's any information that you are aware of that you could share, again, understanding that that's not your discretion necessarily. It's just something happening near your facility.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So in terms of the government shutdown and the impact that FAA has placed on scheduled flight activity nationwide, but specifically across 40 airports. So as you mentioned, CLE is not one of those 40 facilities. However, we do have service to more than half of the airports that are on the list. And so those that have a potentially higher frequency, especially if they may be operated by smaller aircraft, regional jet size aircraft, we may be more prone to being impacted with our scheduled service in Cleveland. So the way that this was laid out with the airlines by FAA last week, there is a gradual increase in the percentage of flight reductions to reach the 10% mark by the end of this week, I believe. And so, as I understand it, though it does appear that the government is going to reopen yet this week, that is not automatically going to mean that the flight reductions go away on Saturday. It likely will be a conversation had with the airlines in how to build that capacity back into the schedule. And certainly it's received quite a bit of coverage through the media since it was first shared with the airlines last week. I expect that will be the same going forward. We have had some cancellations to some of the markets, but it's difficult to really know why because cancellations can occur for other reasons as well. So it's difficult to know exactly why a flight was canceled, but I would say that the overall impact for CLE thus far has been minimal.
Okay, thank you. And,
Yes.
and I'll say there was I forget which airline, but a recommendation to buy a backup airline ticket was sort of a modern take on let them eat cake, but sure, we're all in that position. And could you comment on that Southwest flight?
Yes, all I can say to that is that it's an ongoing investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board that does not include the airport directly, and so I don't have any specific information that I can provide around that instance.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other colleagues with any questions for the director? Hearing none, this meeting of Transportation and Mobility is adjourned. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you all.